From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to episode 148 of Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, live from Brooklyn. It's Margo D.
Hey, everyone. If I sound funny, it's because Sonia somehow gave me her cold via Skype last week. We both were down for the count.
We are both sick. We do everything the same. We can't even let the other one just be sick.
We sick same.
Yeah, we have to do that too. So in this episode, we are dorking out about 1989's Dead Poets Society. So, Margo, are you ready to seize the day?
Oh, Carpe diem. Yes.
Directed by Peter Weir and written by Thomas Schulman, starring Robin Williams, Ethan Hawke, Sean Leonard, Josh Charles, and a bunch of other young actors whose names I didn't write down. This is about an all-boys prep school in 1959, and it's super white. And they're all, it's very strict. It's very tradition, honor, discipline, excellence. And, Robin Williams, of course, is like the English teacher that kind of bucks the system and teaches them to find their voices. I would say that's a pretty accurate description.
It's how it was marketed to us.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I remember the first time I heard about this movie, and this is aging me, but it's dating me, aging me, whatever that expression is.
Yeah.
I'm hopped up on Theraflu, you guys. I'm doing the best I can.
Seriously, we're both like high on cold meds. So if things kind of go off the rails, sorry.
Yeah,
enjoy the ride, you guys.
Enjoy the ride. So I remember I first heard about this from the Donahue show. You remember the Donahue show?
I
Phil
used to
Donahue?
watch it all the time.
He had Robin Williams on, and then he had the cast on. And that's the first time I heard about this movie. And they made it. Oops. The Robin Williams police are coming to get me.
Your ride is here, Margo. I'm gonna make that joke every time.
But it was billed as like this inspirational film. And it was like, it's for young people to see because it'll inspire you to think for yourself. And if you've ever had a teacher you really liked, you're going to love this. And then there's this great romance. If you watch the episode of the Donahue show from '89, there's this great romance you're supposed to pay attention to. And aren't these actors amazing? And it's all this stuff. And they look so young and skinny.
And the preview and the trailers, like it's like a Good Morning Vietnam light.
Yes.
Look at him. Robin Williams is doing his thing. Like, he's going off on little tangents, and isn't he hilarious? And he's inspiring these kids. So it was like inspirational / Robin Williams stand-up.
Well, and it's like this weird, I don't know if you remember Mork and Mindy, or if that was beyond.
Oh, no, I definitely, I watched that.
Okay, good. So, he had this fame in the late 70s, early 80s as Mork from Mork. And then he transitioned into movies, and then he did a bunch of serious movies for a while in the mid 80s. And then Robin Williams hit it big with Good Morning Vietnam, and that was a huge movie.
Yes.
And the whole time in that movie, he's riffing.
Yes.
He's just doing the Robin Williams things and riffing. And in this movie, he wanted to act. It's very strange sometimes because he's very serious, he's very straight, and then all of a sudden he just starts riffing out of nowhere.
Yes.
It's a very strange performance.
It's super strange because, it's exactly what you said. Like, at some point, it's like, I'm being serious actor, and then here's my John Wayne impression. You're like, what? What is happening? But I just, all right, maybe let's just get this out of the way. How much do we love and miss Robin Williams?
He died in 2014, and I can't even believe that.
It's such a fucking bummer. Like,
especially
I live
when you
here.
Find out how he died.
What?
Well, especially when you found out how he died, that he had a mental illness and he had dementia, basically.
It's so sad.
It's just so fucking sad.
I live here, I live in San Francisco, and he lived here. And so it's still like, it just hangs over this town still. Like, people still talk about him. We have like a memorial tunnel now, and there's such love for Robin Williams here, as there should be. And
Yes.
when I was watching this, it'd been a little while since I'd seen one of his movies, and I just remember like how much I love like the warmth and the heart and the humor that he brought to so many of his roles when appropriate, like maybe not in like 1 hour photo or something, but like, in like where appropriate. He was just always so good in everything he did. Even if the movie was shitty, Robin Williams was good in it. And it was kind of interesting that he picked this movie because I don't think he was really doing like supporting roles at this point. Like he did Good Morning Vietnam like 2 years before, and that was a huge hit, and he was like a big movie star. And this movie like markets it like the marketing is like it stars Robin Williams, but he really is the supporting role.
It's really the actors, the students that are the big stars, like Sean Leonard and Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
And who are so young and cute. Josh Charles. I've liked him since Hairspray.
He's really cute, and
he's so cute.
So this is one of my really important questions for you. Who do you think is the cutest? Who would high school Margo want to date?
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
Sad. He's cute in that sad, lonely thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would be such a sucker for it.
I love Josh Charles in this. I had a little crush on him after I saw this movie, and I think he's even better looking now. He like grew into his nose.
Yeah, I think he's even more handsome now than he was then.
And I do love Sean Leonard. Like, I've always loved Sean Leonard.
Yeah.
And he's really great in this too. And just in case someone for some reason doesn't remember everything, like Ethan Hawke is like the new kid who comes to the school, and his roommate is Sean Leonard, and he's kind of the leader of this group. Like he's the one that everyone looks up to, everyone listens to. And then Josh Charles is one of the kids in the group too, who instantly falls in love with a girl that he meets at like a dinner party or something. And that's the so sweet love story that you're talking about that isn't really a sweet love story.
No, well, it's rich white male privilege.
Totally.
We're supposed to, and they want us to feel sorry for them right away because it's a very oppressive environment. It's very pretty where they are. It looks beautiful, but from the first scene, they're letting you know, excuse me, this is 100 years of tradition.
Yes.
We started with like 15 students, and now you become senators and blah, blah, blah. All this pressure is on them to succeed. And Sean Leonard has a father who's played by Kurtwood Smith.
It's Red from that 70s show.
And he's also like from RoboCop. I loved him in RoboCop. He's a scumbag in that. But he's this very strict father saying to him, I gotta, you can't. He wanted to be on with some committee that he was supposed to be on.
He wanted to
the
work
annual.
on the annual, on the like school yearbook or whatever.
And his father's like, no, you got to study more. You need better grades because you're going to be a doctor, Neil. That's it, Neil. You're going to be a doctor. And Neil just kind of like, whoa. Yeah. And so we get the idea. Yes, they have this privileged life, but there's a lot of pressure on them. So we don't hate them.
Because it's Kurtwood Smith, and because I associate him so much with that 70s show now, because he was so good on that 70s show that I kept expecting him to say, like, you're going to be a doctor, dumbass. But he is, like, he's such a mean dad.
He really is. And then the other boys, I mean, there's a few other, like, it's like we said, it's the whitest movie ever. They're all, privileged white kids, but they all kind of stand out from each other. There's Meeks and there's Pitts.
Yes.
And there's the one who goes by Nawanda.
So that's, I wrote it down, Dalton. And
Charlie Dalton.
Yeah, and he's kind of the rebel of the group. Like, I actually enjoyed that character more this time than I did the first time I saw this movie, just because I like that he was like a rebel, but not really. And like, he was kind of the first to always do everything. Like when Robin Williams' character, Mr. Keating, tells them to like rip the pages out of the book, and everyone's like, I don't know. He's like, cool, let's do it. Like, he just starts ripping up his book. Like, he's the first one to like jump up and stand on a desk, or he's like the first one to like do these things, and I think that's that's a good character trait to have, and that he really does like stand his ground all through the end. So I actually enjoyed that character a little bit. Before, I don't think I even paid attention to him, right? Because I was 18 when I saw this, and he wasn't the cutest, so he did not attract my eye.
Yeah, I mean, he is the most daring, and he does take the lessons to heart and listens to everything that he's saying. And I like this. There's a weird scene where they're outdoors, and they're playing soccer. They're kicking a soccer ball as they're reading poetry. And he's the one, he hits the best line, but he is the one that's the most passionate about it. Like every time they do something, he really pays attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they give like all these boys, I don't know, like their little things so that we can kind of tell them apart, So it's like, Pitts is like the tall goober, and then Meeks is like the super smart one, and they're building a radio together. Or, Ethan Hawke's character Todd is shy, but he's awkward, but he's really smart. And Neil is that leader that everyone loves. And, Josh Charles is, I don't know, he's just cute, I guess.
He's the one that falls in love with Chris.
Yeah. Do we want to just jump right into that?
Yeah, because this is something like I was watching and then I started texting you.
Yeah.
Because it's another movie where a woman gets stalked by a guy into dating her.
Yeah, this is like a reoccurring thing in a lot of the 80s movies we've been revisiting, is the like boys stalking girls, and isn't that adorable and romantic?
That's how you get yourself a woman. You show up at her school, go right into her classroom, and just start reading poetry to her.
Yeah.
And then she will automatically go to your school alone just to confront you, to say, hey, I didn't really like that, when she knew, she really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and that
totally
whole scene
what
in
would
the party,
happen.
like that whole scene at the party, and she invites him, and she's clearly drunk and passed out.
Yes.
Or she's just passed out. Let's just say that. But he starts touching her.
Yeah. And
we're supposed to kind of root for him. And it's like, ew, she's not conscious right now.
Yeah, no, it's messed up.
Yeah.
Like, the whole idea is that, so Robin Williams' character has convinced these boys carpe diem, seize the day. That's the make your lives extraordinary. This is the thing that's like playing throughout the movie. And they should think for themselves and, do what you want to do and be your own person. And apparently Josh Charles Knocks Overstreet, that's his name, is the most like movie-iest name, Knocks Overstreet, decides carpe diem is, I'm gonna kiss this girl who's passed out. I'm like, oh. And he's instantly in love with her, and we never know why. Like, is it because she's beautiful? Is she smart? Is she funny? I have no idea. Because he just thinks she's really pretty.
Yeah.
So I
think that's it.
But the movie wants us to think it really is love, but it isn't, right? Because he's 17. It's like lust. Dude, I get it. She's pretty.
Yeah, and you're at an all-boys school.
Yeah.
So you don't get to see a lot of girls anyway. And so when you see one and in person and all that stuff, it's exciting. But I mean, yeah, he immediately comes back and he's totally in love with her. Yeah. And then his whole story arc is that he's got to pursue Chris. So everything's about Chris. He's got to write a poem for Chris. Mm-hmm. He's got to follow her around. Like I said, she already has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And he has to interfere with that.
And she tells him, like, I'm not interested. And he just keeps pursuing. You just keep asking. Keep asking. Yeah, persistence pays off, you guys. Like, eventually, she will totally love you. You'll see. Is there any of the boys in the movie that, like, you relate to the most?
I think it's the Ethan Hawke one, only because he's new, and I was a new kid usually. We moved every few years when I was growing up. So I know what it's like to show up, and there's, like, this social structure, and there are these groups, and trying to figure out who's in charge and who's a leader, who's a follower, and what the rules are. So I think, like, for me, he was the one I connected with.
Yeah. That's probably the one I connected to the most as well, just because I, too, don't want to be called on to read in front of the class.
No, oh my God, so that whole scene where Robin Williams makes him write a poem and read it in front of everybody, which would be horrifying for 90% of the public.
Yeah, I didn't know this was going to be a horror movie.
Yeah, and he makes him do it, and then and then we're supposed to see like, see, he had a breakthrough with this kid, and I'm like, that kid would wet his pants with
Yeah.
fear.
He
you know?
tortures him. He
Yeah,
tortures him. Let's put you out of your misery. Let's,
yeah, calls him a worm.
Yeah.
Like, you little worm.
It's, a very weird scene.
Yeah.
Are you a poetry reader, Margo?
No, I don't like poetry.
Okay, so
And that's
I'll be
awful.
honest, I'm not either.
Yeah.
But I dated like a series of these kind of like poetry boys. Like
Yep.
boys who were like really into that sort of thing and like wanted me to be into it, which I don't know, I guess because of daddy issues made me really not want to be into it. So I like kind of always reject that sort of thing. And I just kind of love that one of the like big acts of rebellion in this movie is that they do this Dead Poets Society, which is something that Robin Williams' character started when he was at that school. And they go out to this cave and they read poetry to each other, these boys.
I'm like, how late are they out there? Because it seems pretty late.
Right.
It's like after when everybody goes to sleep, and they're there a long time.
Yeah.
Like, aren't they exhausted?
So they go out to this cave and they're like reading poetry to each other. And apparently this is like a huge act of rebellion. And at one point, like the school like leaders, the president or whatever is like, you give me the names of everyone in the Dead Poet. Like, it's a really big deal. And I was like, dude, it's practically homework. They're practically doing homework. Like, is that really a big deal? That they're like reading?
It's not like they're not like they're getting high.
Yeah.
Or drinking even. I mean, they're just hanging out in the woods reading poetry. It's a little weird, but it's nothing terrible.
I totally seized the day. I went out to the cave and I read the shit out of that poem. It was fucking awesome. Those boys.
So there's one poem in particular, and there's something like sort of racially weird about it. It's a white man talking about going to a tribe. And and they all start kind of like talking in that syncopated pattern. Mm-hmm. And it's very strange. Like, they picked that particular one because it's, like I said, it's a bunch of white kids. And like, it's very strange because it sounds like rap, mm-hmm. but that wouldn't be rap but it's made in the 80s. So maybe there's a hint to that.
Yeah.
It's a little strange.
Yeah, I think so too. I also wondered, did Mr. Keating not have other classes?
Did he just teach that one poetry class a day?
Was it just the one class? Did he not inspire anyone else? Just those 5 boys.
Was that the whole gig? And I was like, he left London for this? Because he came from London.
I'm like, this job sucks.
This place is boring. He has a girlfriend over there. Yeah. Well, originally, that he was supposed to have cancer.
Yeah. They decided for an even bigger bummer of an ending.
Exactly.
Him dying of cancer is depressing, but I think we could do better. I think we could kill a kid. Oh, spoiler alert for Dead Poets Society, you guys.
Oh my God.
Do we want to get right into that?
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit. So Neil's story is that he all of a sudden he likes to do a lot of different things, and his parents are always like, no, we want you focused because you're going to be a doctor one day. Focus. Yes, they've decided this for him. I guess he's an only child, so all their dreams are on him. And so one day he and Todd are roommates. Let me take this back a little bit. I like that scene where Todd gets the desk set for his birthday.
I love that scene.
Oh, it's so good.
It's such a good scene because it really shows just how awesome Neil is, first of all, but also like their friendship. It shows like that they were more than just roommates. Like, they were really good friends.
Yeah, and you can really count on him. And I thought that was like really well written. It was funny and it was sad. And it really, like, you really rooted for Neil. You like Neil.
I love the end of that scene, too, where he's like, don't worry.
You'll get another one next year. Which is a great line.
It is.
So Neil, all of a sudden, so the whole thing is that Todd is like Todd Anderson, that's just the Ethan Hawke character. He's kind of, maybe not wimpy, but he's kind of a scaredy cat. He doesn't like to get into trouble. He doesn't like to stand out. He doesn't like to talk out loud, so he only takes notes at the meetings. And one day Neil comes into the room and he's like, "I'm going to be an actor." And is super, super excited about it. Like out of nowhere, he wants to be an actor. And Todd's like, "Well, how the hell's that going to work? I mean, this is not even a part of a school production. You're going to be in town. Everybody's going to see you." He's like, "I'll worry about it later." And then they go to see his play. What's the play?
That's isn't it A Midsummer Night's Dream?
Right.
Yeah.
It's Shakespeare.
It's Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. And he's really good.
Yeah.
And everybody goes to see it. And of course, Knox brings Chris, and that's his date, and he holds her hand, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
She's his now.
Yeah. He marked her. He marked
his territory.
Yeah, clearly marked his territory, you guys.
And then at the back of the stage, it's Neil's father.
Yes.
Back of the theater, watching him. And he's like, "Oh shit!" They have the curtain calls, and Mr. Keating's like, "You have the gift. You're amazing," and he is really good.
Yes.
And then the father immediately is like, "What is this shit?
Yeah.
You lied to me. You're not only quitting this play, but I'm taking you out of the school.
Yeah. By the way,
go to military school."
18-year-old Sonia really thought the scene was going to play out differently, with Dad going, "You were so good." And then we would get the happy ending, like, "You should be acting." Oh my, I love 18-year-old Sonia. She was so naive.
She had a lot of hope.
She did. She really was like, his dad loves him, right? He wants him to be. Oh, no, he has his own shit. Okay, never mind.
And my question is Neil a junior? I thought he was a senior, but like at this point, I'm like, I guess he's 17, a junior,
right?
Yeah. So is it 6 months? Is it one semester?
Right.
Excuse me, or is it another year? But it's 1 year or 6 months of military school. My dad went to 4.
Yeah.
And he hated it, but he got through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is where I started struggling with this movie because, Neil kills himself and it's super sad. And I don't know if you saw this. Recently, someone on Twitter, a writer, asked, like, what fictional death affected you the most? And everyone's sharing all these different ones. And I was surprised by how often Neil came up for people.
Really?
Over and over and over. I was like, oh my gosh. And people were like, I love Dead Poets Society. It's one of my favorite movies. And Neil, that just wrecked me, blah, blah, blah. It came up over and over. And I get it because you really love Neil and you really want him to be happy. And watching this movie again, I was like, that seems really extreme for, and as I texted you and I was like, well, he is a drama kid, right? And they're so dramatic. But like, I'm like, it's like 6 months, maybe a year of military school. And this, but he has it in his head, like, you want me to go to medical school. This is like 10 more years of school that I have to do. And it's like, no, dude, at 18, you could be like, fuck you. I'm going to be an actor. And you leave.
Yeah.
I'm like, so killing yourself is really, really dramatic, really over the top, like seems really unnecessary and kind of out of nowhere.
It's all of a sudden, it's like it's this reckless behavior, which he hasn't really demonstrated.
Yeah.
I mean, he took the risk to audition, but it was just more like a youthful enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a risk taker, and it didn't seem all that despondent. I mean, I feel the same way. It's like, dude, you're there for like another year.
Yeah.
And like you said, go to New York, you could become an actor.
Yeah, there's just all these things in like the last third of the movie where I was like, here comes the script part, like the part where like certain people have to do certain things to move the story forward, not because their characters would actually do those things. Like I think Neil's super smart. I don't think there was no demonstrated they didn't show us anything that would make us think that he would immediately jump to this. There's also like the kid that immediately like turns on Mr. Keating and like narcs him out. That seemed a little weird to me. And even like the whole end where they like, stand up on the tables. It's like, thanks for seizing the day after he's already been fired, assholes. Like,
exactly.
But the Neil killing himself is just, it's such a bummer. And I don't know. I don't know if the movie needed to go that hardcore to
I don't think it needed to be that melodramatic.
to make its point, but I know at the time, like, it made me cry, and seeing those responses on Twitter was like, Neil meant something to people, and so I don't want to shit all over it, but
right.
I'm just like, Neil didn't have to die, you guys.
Yeah, no. That was a decision that was made in the storytelling.
Yeah.
And then the whole school gets involved in it because the father blames Keating.
Yeah.
And so now they're investigating. I guess, like you said, he's only teaching the one class, so that's a real small group of people to interview.
Yes.
And then one of them's going to crack. Do you want to? I was telling you, I read the Roger Ebert review for this movie, and this is just one line I want to read to you. This made me laugh. It is, of course, inevitable that the brilliant teacher will eventually be fired from the school. And when his students stood on their desks to protest his dismissal, I was so moved, I wanted to throw up.
Sorry for my cold laugh, my coffee laugh. But
I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is so, like, it's such a good scene, but it is also, like,
manipulative.
It is really manipulative. And that's okay, like, all movies are kind of manipulative. It's fine.
Sure.
But it's not, it is a little like, too little too late.
Yeah.
And like, you guys maybe couldn't have seized the day like 2 days ago, so Mr. Keating doesn't have to update his resume. After,
exactly.
By the way, he only worked like a semester at this job. He left London for this. And now his resume is like, well, I taught 1 semester of English at Wharton Academy. What'd you do there? Oh, I taught kids how to rip up books, and then a kid killed himself. So I got fired.
And why was he cleaning out his office like in the middle of class? That was the thing.
Come after hours. What are you doing?
I know, really. They would never let you do that. They would never let you do that. Like, it's so, like you said, it's so manipulative. Yeah. And then you have to guess which ones are going to go on the desk and which ones aren't going to go on the desk. And a couple of them are guys we never knew about.
I'm like, oh, that guy standing.
Glasses guy.
Oh, glasses guy. Short poem guy. Guy I've never seen before. Ooh, they're all up on the desk.
So it's just bizarre.
It is. Do you think that the idea of Neil wanting to be an actor is supposed to be like a stand-in for maybe Neil is gay, or that maybe
I wonder that too.
Yeah, and that maybe his dad was thinking that too.
Well, it used to be you did not want your kids to go into show business because it was full of freaks, right?
Right.
And it was full of people, and it is, by the way. Yeah, you have met plenty of them. And especially in the 50s and 60s. I mean, I remember all these interviews with Marlon Brando throughout his life. He was a huge actor in the theater and then in the movie world. And he always talks about how he was embarrassed to be an actor. He was one of the best ones at it. He was super tall, handsome, got chicks everywhere he went. And he said growing up in Kansas, he was embarrassed to say that he liked acting because that was too frou-frou, wasn't manly enough. And so I can see why somebody like Neil, who's kind of sensitive, like, maybe his dad's worried, like, oh, if he winds up in show business, they're going to take advantage of him, or he's going to, I don't know, it's going to turn him gay. I don't know. I don't think that's a word they can even think about. This is another thing. This is how terrible I am. I'm looking at that first scene with all the old men and all the kids are starting over. I'm like, which one's molesting the kids?
Oh, for sure. Right. There's a whole other movie going on in this movie in which one of those,
even darker.
Yeah.
There's crazy shit going on.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like this movie is basically a prequel to Spotlight.
Yes. Yes.
Because everything's a connected universe.
Yeah. So I will say, though, I liked the relationship of Robin Williams and Mr. Nolan, who's the old man, who's, by the way, that man, the actor is Norman Lloyd. He's still alive.
Oh, my gosh.
He's 100. He'll be 105 this year. He makes it to his next birthday. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I like their relationship.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch that I didn't pick up on the first time when I saw this.
Yeah. And then
I do like the scene too where I know that like the relationship is problematic, but I do like it when Knox calls Chris and all the boys are there and they're supporting him. And, calls and she's like, oh, I was going to invite you to this party or whatever. And he's like, cool, I'll totally go. And he hangs up. And like, I like that they're all there for him, not to like be mean to him or be an asshole about it or like, yeah, you're calling a girl. Like, they're there to like support him. And I did like that at the end. He's like, the point is she was thinking about me. Like, I did think like that was pretty okay.
That was okay. And it was true. She was thinking about him if she was going to invite him to this party.
That's true. She's like, maybe I'll drink too much and pass out and he could try to kiss me. Oh, that'd be so great.
I think I screwed them up. I think Mr. Nolan is actually the one that yells at them to get off the tables.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the other instructor. I can't remember his name.
I know exactly who you're talking
about. But you know who I'm talking about? He's another fellow, he's the Latin instructor.
Yeah, because at first you think he's going to be like a jerk, right? Because he barges in on the class because he thinks the kids are all acting crazy, but Robin Williams is the one acting crazy.
Okay, so I've read a bunch of think pieces about this movie.
Ooh, I want to hear it.
So people love it or they fucking hate it.
Yes, this does not surprise me.
And there are people who are like, first of all, the scene where he's ripping up the books is obnoxious because you're ripping up an author's work. I mean, which is what he's doing. I mean, that is somebody's
but
work.
I agree with that. I'm like, fuck that chapter.
I mean, look, I don't like poetry either.
Yeah.
But they're just sort of like, it's sort of like the humanities save everything.
Yeah.
You know, for everybody. And it's like, you know what? Come on. Calm down. It's not, you know, and then some of the stanzas that and I loved it when he's like, poetry is to woo women. And there's a big picture of Walt Whitman behind him. I'm like, dude, that man was not trying to woo women. Walt Whitman's gay.
Psst. Spoiler
He was into dudes. It's very heteronormative, basically.
Yes.
Which is the product of its time.
It is.
I mean, it's funny to think about a movie with a bunch of teenage boys, and it is all about reading and poetry and being sensitive, which is nice.
It's the anti-Porky's.
Yes.
Bizarro. It's Bizarro Porky's. Yay.
Yeah, it's not Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
It's
really
like
the whole opposite, which is nice. I mean, it's nice to see young men be, and I bet for like certain dudes, it's a nice place to go and kind of see that reflected.
That's true. That's true. That's a different kind of movie.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it isn't those things. And you and I were talking about earlier about how it's kind of strange that this movie was as popular as it was. And the idea that like people went back to see it because it played at my theater. So people came back, you know, especially like younger people. And once again, and we've talked about this sort of thing before, there was not Netflix, there was not Hulu, there was not YouTube. Like if you wanted to see young people, you had to see these kind of movies because we didn't have like a Dawson's Creek or a Buffy or a Riverdale or, you know, whatever. Like we didn't have those things. So you had to see these movies. So when you saw like a movie was coming out with like, hey, it's the guy from Explorers and the guy from Hairspray, you're going to go even, you know, because
and it has Robin Williams.
Yeah, and it has Robin Williams. You had to see these movies. And so people would come back and kids come back and see it again and get kids. When I say kids, I mean teenagers. But it's this weird movie about like poetry and suicide.
There's like death hanging all over it. Like from the beginning, you can kind of sense some foreboding. I mean, when he takes them to the black and white pictures and says, look at all those men. They're all pushing the daisies now. Like he has them, and he looks at Neil when he says it, by the way. There's some foreshadowing. Yeah, it's a little morbid. There's a lot of that going on. It's very beautifully filmed. Yes. I think that's a big deal. I mean, Peter Weir, who directed Witness.
Okay.
And the Truman Show.
I wrote down some. Peter Weir is underappreciated. This dude has done some. So he did Picnic at Hanging Rock. It's a good movie. Year of Living Dangerously, Witness, Mosquito Coast, Fearless, love Fearless, The Truman Show, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. That's a really good movie too. Like this dude made awesome movies.
He's still around. He's still making them.
He hasn't made anything since. I wrote down, it was called The Way Back, which I haven't seen, but I've heard good things about.
Well, he'd be in his 70s now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he's retired.
Maybe, but he's made some really great movies. But anyway, go ahead. I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I think the look of the movie is beautiful. Originally, they were going to film it in Georgia, and then they moved it to Delaware because there was a lot of snow happening that year. They predicted a lot of snow, and they're like, "Oh, this would look better with snow," and it does.
It
actually.
does.
The snow looks incredible. The weather, the New England weather, is just like the leaves changing and all that stuff. It really is a part of the movie that like it helps you get the feeling for it.
I want to put on a sweater and go to there.
Oh God! And we get hot apple cider. Oh, doesn't it sound amazing?
It does.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking film, and the music is nice. It won for best screenplay.
Yeah, so that was in my notes because, like I said, I have problems with the final third of this movie, and then I wanted to see what it was nominated against. Did you read what was up the competition?
No, do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, I do, and it's kind of bullshit that this movie won, I have to say.
Oh, I know. Go for it. I know what you're talking about.
The first one is Crimes and Misdemeanors by Woody Allen. Woody Allen, fuck that guy. But Crimes and Misdemeanors was a really good movie.
It's an amazing movie.
Do the Right Thing.
Oh my God.
Sex, Lies, and Videotape. And When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, that is bullshit.
It's kind of a bullshit thing that Dead Poets Society won. I'm sorry, Dead Poets Society fans, but nobody is still talking about the script from Dead Poets Society. And everyone still talks about the scripts from these other 4 movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. But it was also nominated for Best Picture.
Yes. And that's crazy because this is back when there were still only 5, nominees. So, and the other movies were, this is pretty crazy. So it was Driving Miss Daisy.
Of course.
Which won. And then this year we'll get the reverse one. We'll get Green Book. Green Book will probably win. Fuck that movie. It looks boring. AF.
It looks stupid.
It looks so boring. Anyway, that's a whole side tangent. Born on the 4th of July, Dead Poets Society, Field of Dreams, and My Left Foot.
Wow, what a crazy mixture.
I know. And I'm like, were these really the best movies that year?
No. Do the Right Thing should have won.
Yes, for sure. And I think, so Spike Lee wasn't even nominated that year.
No, you remember Kim Basinger came out and she was introducing some other category. And she said, I think that I really need to say something right now. I need to mention that there's one movie that really should have been mentioned and hasn't been given its due. And I think we all know what we're talking about. And it was, at the time, all of a sudden it was coming about like Driving Miss Daisy is a very pedestrian movie. Yeah. And it puts racism and segregation into a very rose-colored filter. Yes. And it's one of the things that white people watch to feel good about themselves. Yes. Always made me uncomfortable.
Yes.
All that stuff always makes me uncomfortable. And then Do the Right Thing is this incendiary movie. It still pops. Yes. It still will grab you. And it's colorful and it's interesting. And it's about white and black racism. And it's also black on black racism. And it's just incredible.
And that movie holds up.
Holds the fuck up. That movie does. Yes. We're going to talk about it one day.
Yeah, we are. And that's why I'm kind of fascinated by what's playing out during this awards season, because it's almost a repeat, right? Because Green Book is a total Driving Miss Daisy, and Black Klansman, once again by Spike Lee, is the way more interesting version of the idea of talking about race. And,
yes, exactly.
And that movie, it's, probably going to get nominated, but it's not going to, but they'll probably go the safe way, right? They're going to go all Green Book again. They usually do. And it's so disappointing and it's so boring. And I'm sorry for the sidetrack. It's just,
do you know anybody that's excited about Green Book? I don't know one person.
I don't know.
Not one person.
No, nobody. And it's just, it's like a crash, right? Like nobody's going to talk about that movie 6 months from now. And I always so desperately want our Oscars to be like a time capsule of what was good and what we were talking about. And it almost never is. And every year I'm like, this is the year, and every once in a while we get that, like we get like a Moonlight or something, but like most of the time we don't. We get a Driving Miss Daisy and we get a Green Book. So sorry for the side rant, everybody.
But it's like appeals to everybody and it doesn't offend anyone.
Yes.
That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
I know.
So I wrote down some other 89 movies.
Oh,
And
please.
we've done 89 before, so I didn't want to repeat like a ton of the movies that we talked about. So I already mentioned like Born on the 4th of July, My Left Foot, Driving Miss Daisy, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, but also Batman, Do the Right Thing, The Abyss, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Roadhouse, Weekend at Bernie's,
Oh my God.
Say Anything,
Oh my God.
Drugstore Cowboy,
Oh yes.
Steel Magnolias, and Look Who's Talking.
What a crazy year for movies.
Yeah. And and this was one of those movies that played at my theater for quite a long time, actually.
People loved it.
People
really loved it.
And I did enjoy rewatching it. It was just during that like last third, I was like, I don't know if it earned all of this.
It starts for me like, first of all, he's declaring his love for a girl he doesn't know, who's already taken. But he's so cute. I get it. You know, I could see her having a crush on him, or like crushing on him back or whatever. But the whole Neil story and the whole thing about the dad just being like, I'm going to take you out of school,
right,
and you're going to go to military school, and you're never going to act again, and blah, 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 blah. It's just like, it's the mustache twirling kind of villainry.
Sure. And then he takes Neil and he ties him to a railroad track.
Exactly. And of course he has a gun in his house. And of course Neil can get to it.
Yes.
And Neil's poor mother just looks like she's just worn out and abused.
Now put on this Make America Great Again hat and go to school.
Don't be a sissy.
Rub some dirt on it. Walk it off, son.
Don't read that poetry shit. Yeah, I'm surprised more fathers are not upset about them having to take poetry. You know, if you think about
Poetry's for pussies.
Yeah. Why is there anything about economics here or something like that? I will say this again. I think it's great it is about poetry. I think there's something wonderful about the humanities being the center of a story.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also looked up the list of other people who were considered for Robin Williams' role. Did you look up that?
Oh, I looked that up. Dustin Hoffman.
Oy. Liam Neeson. I'm like,
yeah.
Bill Murray. I could see that.
Totally.
And the one that I was like, what? Mel Gibson.
Yuck. Ugh. Well, you know, he's canceled for me.
Yeah.
But he worked with Peter Weir a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So
they're both Australian. They're both from Australia. Yeah. And he was a huge star at the time. So.
But you know who wanted the not the Ethan Hawke part? I think it was the Neil Perry part. But River Phoenix.
Yes, I read that too, and I was like, kind of surprised that River Phoenix couldn't just get any part he wanted.
He was a big star.
Because he was a big star at this point. And he did The Mosquito Coast with Peter Weir. Like, that would have been what? Like, before or after? I forget. Anyway, like, maybe there was a scheduling thing or something. But River Phoenix, he was a big star by then. So, kind of surprised.
He would have been good.
Yeah. I like that guy. I miss him.
Oh, I miss him. I miss him too. He would have been so talented. He would have made great movies.
For sure. Instead, we still get Johnny Depp.
Boy, he took a left turn, didn't he? I used to like Johnny Depp. I used to like Johnny Depp movies.
Me too. And now
all of a sudden I see him now, I'm like, ugh.
You know what? Even before he started, even though it became obvious and public knowledge that he was like an alcoholic who beats up women, I was avoiding Johnny Depp movies just because I was like, ugh, he's doing a Johnny Depp thing. Like the Tim Burton movie, you know, that sort of thing where I'm just like, ugh, oh no, I'm pass. No thanks. So it wasn't a big loss for me to avoid his movies.
He did too many of those.
Exactly. Too many. Do we have anything else we want to say about Dead Poets Society? Captain?
Captain, my captain. I like Robin Williams' performance in it.
Yes.
I mean, the shticky stuff when he kind of breaks character and starts to riff, it's a little awkward.
Yes.
It kind of comes, but I think that's what then you feel the actor's really reacting to it in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You could see him trying to rein it in and not go too broad.
Yes.
But I thought all the performances were really good.
I think
it looks beautiful. And I was surprised to find Norman Lloyd is still alive at 105, but Robin Williams is gone. Like, what kind of universe is
I
this?
know it's we're in the upside down.
We are in the upside down. Robert Sean Leonard, by the way, he went to my high school.
Really?
Yeah, or he's from Ridgewood, New Jersey. And he was he was always like on Broadway and stuff like that. He did a lot of acting. Yeah.
And he's a Shakespeare guy.
Yeah.
He's in Much Ado About Nothing, one of my faves, one of my comfort movies. I really like Robert Sean Leonard a lot. I used to watch House for a little while, and he was so good. And he was so good in that. And he's once again like on our never-ending list of unappreciated actors. You could put Robert Sean Leonard in there. I feel like he's always good in everything he does, and whenever he shows up, I'm like, it's that guy.
Yeah, he's dependable.
He's dependable, and he's quite handsome.
No, he looks good.
I like to look at him. No,
I'm
sorry. I don't mean to objectify him, but
that's okay.
I think he's handsome. And Ethan Hawke looks great too.
He does. And his daughter, Maya, was in the PBS version of Little Women. Aww. And she played Jo. She was excellent.
That's so awesome. Is that his daughter with Uma Thurman?
Yeah, she's beautiful. She's a beautiful girl, and she's a really good actor.
I'm going to have to look that up and watch that.
It was great.
Wow, what a pedigree.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's pressure.
Yeah.
So what else are you dorking out about?
So there's something that was called, I thought it was called the Fry Festival. That's how out of it I am.
Yeah.
It's called the Fire Festival, but they spell it Fyre. And it was this festival where these millennials were going to go to this Jamaican island, and they were going to there could be concerts, and there were going to be bungalows, and you were going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, and you're going to be around other Instagram celebrities and that kind of thing. And it turned into a huge crock of shit.
I watched this play out over Twitter when it was.
Yes.
And I was like, more of this, please.
There's a lot of schadenfreude if you hate Instagram celebrities. There's a lot of that going on, but there's 2 documentaries. There's one on Netflix called The Greatest Party That Never Happened. Mm-hmm. And that was told mainly from the point of view of the marketing company.
Yes.
And they, I think, they should be answering to somebody because, and then the other one is on Hulu. It's called Fire Fraud.
Yes. But
the guy that ran it was a total scumbag, totally didn't care that he was screwing people over. The people that ran the marketing, that did the Instagram account, would just delete every time people asked questions that made them uncomfortable. Yes. So people just showed up thinking they were going to take little Cessna planes to this village, and they get there and it's a 737 and it's a rackety one, and they land and it's just bullshit. Like, it's just
and the
empty
bungalows
tents.
are like FEMA tents.
Oh, they're like FEMA tents, and there's no food, there's no water. I mean, they just have alcohol. They had no food and water, and then they get these kids super drunk, and then they promise them, like, people paid thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh my God, hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them.
Yeah, it was a total, and the whole thing, it's total BS. And his whole thing was that the Fry thing was going to be the festival, but he was also going to develop an app. Mm-hmm. And he had all these people in New York working on the app. And there's a scene in this Netflix movie that's just so upsetting, but he, over the phone, tells them, because they're running out of money, they're being sued left and right. This concert is a total failure. And people are like, so what's going on with the app? Are we still going on with the app? He goes, you can still work on it. I still want you to work on the app. He goes, but I'm going to tell you right now, I can't pay you anymore. And then people are like, well, are we laid off? He says, no, you're not laid off at all. Like, so you're
just
not going to pay us?
Just keep working for free.
Yeah. So somebody says, so we can't file for unemployment? And he goes, I can't tell you that.
Fuck that guy.
Oh, fuck that guy. It's fascinating. There's 2 of them. You don't have to watch both of them, but once you start watching, you're going to be, they're only like an hour and a half long.
I watched the
really
one on Hulu. Did you watch Did you watch them both, or?
Oh, I watched them both. Yeah.
Is there one that you liked more than the other?
I kind of think they're both pretty. The Netflix one I thought does a better job of giving you the overall picture as you're going. But the Netflix one, I think, kind of gives the marketing team kind of a pass. Mm. And I think the Hulu, the Hulu one is a little more like, that's actually kind of a problem too when you're lying to people.
Yes.
over social media. I mean, you do have to at some point be truthful about things, and to tell people to spend money because there will be a place for you in this island when you have no such thing available is bullshit.
Yes.
And you should have the balls to stand up to your client and say, no, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, I did social media marketing for a while, and there always is a push from companies that want to like delete negative things. They want it. That's what they want you to do. And honestly, it's your job to say, no, we don't do that, because it's lying. It's lying. It's deceptive. Like, what you do is you respond to those people and show that you're paying attention, you're listening. This is, customer service or whatever. Like, that's what you do. And yeah, so that's a big no-no. And I watched the Hulu one. I started the Netflix one. I will finish it. I just haven't finished it yet. And what I liked about the Hulu one is it kind of just plays out like a true crime documentary, which, is obviously my jam. And so I like that. They also interview the sociopath, basically, Billy McFarland. Yeah. And but I hear that I think the Netflix one is going to have more of the like what a shit show it was on the ground.
Yes.
And I kind of wanted a little bit more of that. So I think they might complement each other.
I think they're far. I mean, yeah, they totally complement each other. It doesn't bother me at all that I saw two of them of the same topic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't have one that I would recommend more than the other. I think they were both like equally good, just had different things that they focused on. On the one on the Netflix, what happens is this festival is a sham. The whole company he's getting sued left and right. And then he sells his email list and creates a new company and puts somebody's name on it, but he's behind it. And he just sells VIP events and experiences that you can't buy. But he knows you can't buy these things. Like going to the Met Gala, you can't buy a ticket for that. Anna Wintour invites you.
Yes.
That's
or
it.
you sneak in Ocean 8 style.
And exactly. You just get a job working for Anna Wintour, and that only takes an afternoon.
It's super easy. You just walk in.
Just walk in a Condé Nast. They just give you a job.
Yeah.
But it's just. But he's ripping off people once again. Like, he's unrepentant, and he's such an awful villain.
Yeah.
He's probably went to Welton School.
Donald Trump for sure went to Welton School.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. These awful like rich people who just love to like bully people into working for free for them.
Yeah.
Like our awful president right now, making all these government employees work for free. It's like, I get rich while you work for free.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like the one I watched on Hulu, and I definitely am going to watch the one on Netflix. Since I've been sick this week, I watched a lot of TV, and I plowed through Killing Eve on Hulu.
What did you think?
I loved it.
Loved it.
It's so good. If you guys go watch Killing Eve on Hulu, and it's probably on Prime and all that, and you'd have to buy it or whatever, but Sandra Oh I just love her. I always love her. Like, I think she's just such a good actor, and she's really great in this, and I love the character in this. And I think the woman who plays Villanelle, I think is how you pronounce it, Jamie Comer, she's really great. The show didn't always go where I thought it was going to go, and I appreciate that. And it was just such an easy watch too. And every episode ends on a cliffhanger, so like you can't wait to go to the next one. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad I waited until they were all out, so that I don't have to wait a week.
Very bingeable.
It's super bingeable, and they're each like 42 minutes long. Like, it's so easy to get through. It was really, really entertaining, and is so good. I'm so glad I watched it.
It was one of my favorites of last year.
Yeah. I think it was on your list, right?
It was on my list, yeah.
And that's why it was on my list to watch. So I'm so glad I did. So thank you for the rec.
You got it. And I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I'm definitely going to finish the other Fire Festival documentary, because I want to watch all the Instagram models complain about shitty food.
It's so funny because somebody, Julie Klausner, She said on Twitter, she's like, "Am I the only one who doesn't think that cheese sandwich looks so bad?"
I'm gonna eat the shit out of that. It looks delicious.
Yeah, it looks kind of tasty.
You whiners.
Yeah.
So Margo, where can people find you on the internet?
The best thing to do is look for me on social media at Brooklyn Fit Chick, and I'm mainly active on Twitter and Instagram. And I have a blog. It's brooklynfitchick.com. And my other shows are the Not Fade Away podcast, the Best Neighbors podcast, Fit Bottom Girls, and Book versus Movie.
What's up next for Book versus Movie?
We're doing Shawshank Redemption. So I'm taking major notes tonight.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
I forgot about it because I watched the unrated version because we get the TV version. The thing with the sisters, there's like several scenes of that menacing, prison rape stuff. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah. It's intense, but it's still like I know some people don't like the hokey ending where they meet each other. No. It makes me so happy.
Oh my God, it makes me sob.
Oh, I love it.
I love it too.
Totally holds up. So really excited to talk about that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You can find me at thesoniashow.com. That's Sonia with an I, and I'm on Twitter at The Sonia Show. And you can find Dorking Out at dorkingoutshow.com. It is soon to be dorkingout.com, but I just haven't made the switch yet. Dorking Out Show on Twitter and Facebook. And this was super fun, as always, my captain.
You know what? I would read poetry for you.
Thank you.
That's how good of a friend you are to me.
Yeah, and that's how good of a friend you are to me. Oh, my captain, my captain. Let's go seize the day right now.